Hey, Jason.
Hey there.
Jason, how you doing?
I'm well, and you?
Good. Hey, glad we caught you. We have some questions for you today.
Happy to.
All right. First, for intros, can you tell us who you are and what you do for the museum?
Happy to. Sure. So my name is Jason Cryan. I'm the executive director of the Natural History Museum of Utah. Not only am I an administrator here, the leader here, but I'm also a scientist. I'm an entomologist. I study bugs.
Oh, bugs. All right. So, how has your background in entomology prepared you for your current role?
Well, so I've been a scientist at a museum for the entirety of my career, and that allowed me to have an understanding of the amazing scientific collections and research endeavors here at the museum. And it also gives me a good leg up on how to run the museum, how to be an administrator, a leader here.
Okay. So, you're an entomologist, and we're in the entomology collections. It's a
Yeah.
really unique space. It's a big space. What makes it so special?
Well, so what you see here, all these cabinets are filled with biological specimens preserved for scientific study. So whether it's insects here or plants or vertebrates, all of these are housing specimens that we use, that researchers use to study their scientific questions. Let me give you an idea of what this kind of means or what this looks like. So this, for example, is an amazing drawer of moths, Luna moths and other giant silk moths. And it gives you an idea of how some specimens are dried and preserved for scientific research.
All right. So, besides being able to work with all these amazing specimens, what has you the most excited to show up for work?
So this is it's a great question. This is the kind of the holiday season, and I love showing up to work and interacting with the many people who are visiting the museum from away, whether it's elsewhere in the state of Utah or from outside of the state. And they're here very often experiencing and discovering the museum for the first time. And that really is really thrilling to me to see and experience the museum through their eyes for the first time.
All right. So, of all those guests, what's the most common feedback that you hear?
I hear all the time from visitors far and near that this is the most amazing museum experience that they've ever had. And so I love hearing that. It's a validation of what we do and why it's so important.
Okay, well, here's some more hardball questions. What's the weirdest scientific word you know?
I've always liked the word juvenile. I can't even say it right. Juvenilization, and that basically means neotenic. It means something that is immature looking, and yet it's reached maturity. So I've often been told that I act kind of immature, so it fits me pretty well.
Okay, all right. So, as an immature entomologist, which insect is your favorite?
Well, let me show you this. This is really a great, amazing little specimen for you. So I study all things that are related to cicadas, and this is a set of examples of those things from the tropics. And these guys down here in the corner, in particular, are some of my favorites. These are called dragon-headed bugs. They're from the neotropics. That means Central America and South America. They're related to cicadas, and they eat plants, but they look kind of fearsome and terrifying. But they're really amazing insects.
Wow, that's fascinating. All right, so what's the best thing to happen to you this week?
Well, going back to one of my original or my earlier answers of people visiting the museum, I ran into a family in the galleries the other day that was they had a little kid who was just super excited about the dinosaurs that they were seeing, and so just experiencing that just made my day.
Right on. All right, so describe NHMU in 10 words or less.
10 words or less. Okay, not too hard to do. I would say NHMU is one of the nation's leading museums of natural history.
All right, that was too easy, too easy. All right, so show us something in the museum that you love.
Sure. Let me show you this. So you have already seen some ways that we preserve specimens for scientific study. Let me show you another way. This is a cryogenic freezer. It's called an ultra cold freezer held at minus 80 degrees Celsius. That's more than 100 degrees below zero Fahrenheit. And this is the temperature and these are the conditions that we use to store specimens for genetic study. So at these temperatures, specimens are, their DNA and their RNA is preserved for study for in perpetuity. So for example, in these little cryogenic vials filled with insect specimens, a geneticist could come back here 100 years from now and study the genome of these animals.
Wow, it's incredible. Okay, so switching gears from science back to the museum for all of our guests, which of our annual events do you look forward to the most?
So they're all pretty amazing, but I gotta say, as an entomologist, my favorite is Bug Fest. That's a 2-day event in the summertime where we celebrate everything about invertebrates. A close second to that is Dino Fest coming up here in the wintertime. That's another 2-day event in which we celebrate all things paleontology, fossils, dinosaurs, things that survived and lived here hundreds of millions of years ago.
So, last question. Other than those amazing festivals, what's the best part of your job?
So as great as this museum is, as amazing and memorable as the galleries are, and as important are these as the scientific collections are, the best part of my job is the honor of being a part of the team that runs this place. It's really a fantastic and professional team. I'd stack them up against any team anywhere, and I'm happy to be part of it.
Glad to hear it. So, we're not going to keep you any longer. We know you've got a museum to run, so thanks so much for your time.
Thank you for visiting.